Hey guys, I'm John, and in this video we're gonna find out how ace I think this is! Oh yeah, come on. Here we go. Oh, damn it. Oh, 2 for 1, come on. I love it. Yes. Oh, still robots. Yeah. Sorry guys. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and this time I'm going to give you my Metroid Dread Nintendo Switch review. So I've actually finally finished the game. It took me, I got a completion time of about 10 hours and 38 minutes. I did do a hell of a lot of exploring. Got to build your character up, find all them upgrades. It's just one of the things that you just need to do in a Metroid game. I get a little bit lost when I'm trying to explore every sort of area of the map and all the little different worlds that there is, or areas. So, but I finally got there, and I'm just going to give you guys my thoughts on this brand new entry into the Metroid saga and just see if I think it's worth it or not. So Metroid Dread is the 5th in the original series of Metroid games. So it started way back when on the NES with Metroid, followed by Metroid 2 on the Game Boy, then we had Super Metroid on the SNES, and then a few years later we had Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance, and then it's been nothing for years, and then all of a sudden this bad boy's dropped. Okay, so Metroid Dread has dropped, and it is number 5 in the Metroid series. Now, going into a Metroid game, especially one that's in line with the original series, so this is basically bare bones down to it is a 2D platformer. There is the aspect of 2.5D, so there are certain interactions that you will make with the sort of background from the foreground, more when you're entering areas and things like that. But on the bare bones of it, it is a 2D platformer, and I love 2D platformers. It's sort of what I grew up with, and going back to one like this with all the modern capabilities and enhancements, I was really excited going into it. Now, when you get into a Metroid game, because it's such a renowned franchise, and it did establish the Metroidvania classification of games that there is nowadays, there are certain things that a game like this has to do. There's a checklist of when you go in, of what you need. Okay, so you've got to go in there, you've got to have a good open world, it's got exploration into it. There are certain areas that are closed off to you when you first start the game, and you'll eventually find an upgrade that will allow you to backtrack and go in to go back there because there's some goodies waiting for you. It's got to have that. It's got to have good combat. It's got to have a good range of abilities, and then you've got to have these epic boss fights. Okay, it's one of them things. It's tried and tested formula, and when Metroid is one of the ones that established this, then there's high expectations, okay? The bar's set high before you've even gone into it. And do you know what? Metroid Dread delivers on all fronts in the best way possible. It gives you exactly what you want, but then gives you more. So this time, yeah, you get the exploration, yeah, you get like all the abilities, but Samus has a new set of traversal abilities this time round, so like the slides there, and it is used in such a great way, and it got me out of many hairy situations, especially during boss battles. The slide's just amazing, and it just adds to the exploration. So there's a lot of different areas which you'll need to sort of slide in and get around, and then the other thing with this one is it adds it's been dubbed as a bit of a stealth element, and in a 2D shooter like this, it's not something that you find very often, that sort of stealth part of it. But the way it's integrated into Metroid Dread is incredible. I was really impressed with it. At first, I was a bit apprehensive of it because I just want to go around, run around, and shoot everything with the biggest gun I can find. That's just what I want to do. So I was a bit like, do I really want stealth? You know what I mean? This is Samus. This is 5 games in. She's a badass. And she shouldn't run away from anything. But the way it's integrated in and it's explained and it is really good. And you only have certain parts in each of the different areas where you'll do these. And it's against like the Emmy robots. So the new enemy type for this game. And they're really good sections. They're they can be very frustrating at times because you'll know that you're trying to get there. The worst one for me, I think, the one that frustrated me the most was the blue one. When you get to the blue Emmy, because there's a lot of the area where the blue one patrols, because they're in a set sort of zone. There's an Emmy zone, and you'll know where it is. It's colour-coded on the map. And they don't sort of veer away from those zones or anything. So once you're in there, you'll know when you're in there. You know you've got to watch your ass. There's an Emmy after you. And when you're in there, and there's one where there's quite a lot of water throughout the zone. And at the time when you first get there, I hadn't got the capability of getting through water quick. And Samus was just like trudging through mud, going through this water. And this Emmy just hunts you, man. And there were times where all I wanted to do is literally go in this door, walk across, and literally just go out that door there. That was all I needed to do. I needed to go there to go and travel to a different area, and that was where the quickest fast travel point was. And all I wanted to do was literally get from just through one door and through another. That was it. And it took me so many attempts just to try and avoid this goddamn Emmy. And then eventually, once you get the gravity suits and you go and you can run through it, and it's great. But there are times when it really is frustrating. But they are very well integrated into it. They do explain a bit of a purpose as to why they're there, and it's very well done, to be honest with you. And I was quite impressed with it. So overall, yeah, the stealth elements that are integrated, that are new for this game, work well. And going forward, if they do make another one, you never know. I would like to see them return, or see them explored a little bit more, because they were very well done, and they added a lot of tension to the gameplay. Because you were always just like, oh, where is it? Oh, gotta run, gotta hide. And it was really good, and it sort of added a little bit more sort of, like I say, a little bit more tension to the experience of when you're going through it. So I was really impressed with them. They were very well done. Now, boss fights. Now, the boss fights in this, do you know what, are really good, really hard. They've got, all the bosses have got a set pattern. You just got to learn the pattern, and then you'll be alright. So, and they are. But, and they are really good, and they are really satisfying once you've completed. The only thing I will say is, like, a lot of the boss fights, I was a little disappointed with the boss variety. Now, I'm not going to go through all the bosses, but normally with these games, you have, like, these big-ass bosses that you'll always go to. But for me in this one, the only problem I had is there was a lot of repetition in the type of boss that you had. So when you progress a little bit further, you'll get all these Chozo Robots. So the Chozo have obviously been in the previous games, and they're a big part of the story in this game. And you'll get these Chozo Robot warriors, and they come in, and then you'll fight them. But then, like, you'll progress to a different area, and you'll have pretty much the same boss fight. They might have a little bit of a different moveset, but nothing too vast. Most of them have like 80% the same moves, and then they'll have like one different move, maybe. And I was a bit disappointed by the lack of variety in the bosses, and that was something that really annoyed me, because I'll be like going to a room and I'm like, oh, it's a boss room. I'm like, oh no, it's that dude again. I got this. And it sort of took a little bit of the challenge out of the bosses. I mean, when you get like the big bosses, the big like monsters and that, there is a challenge there. You've got to learn a moveset, you've got to learn a pattern. And with the Chozo Robots, when you first face them, there's a bit like of, hey, what am I doing here? And you'll learn the moves, and then you'll take them out. You might die a couple of times, but then you'll take them out. But then as you progress and you're facing the same enemies repeatedly, it just lost a little bit of the challenge, because you're like, let's do it again. I know what I'm doing. I know all these moves. And then that's about it. Like I say, they might have a couple of moves differently, but then like once you've done that, the rest of the fight, you're not going to lose a great deal of sort of health or lives sort of thing, because you know what you're doing. So that's just something that I took away from it that I wasn't happy about. Everything else, the exploration, the abilities, the rest of the enemy types that you face, you know, the generic sort of creatures that are occupying the world, the planet of ZDR, they were all really good, and there was a good variety of those, and each different area had its own sort of fauna that you would experience and encounter, and they were all good and varied. But then, like I say, for me, it was just the bosses were a little bit samey, and there was a lot of repetition in it. So that was the only real sort of negative thing I could take away from it. As such, it was just the bosses weren't great in a variety sense. Now, when, like I say, you do fight the main bosses, again, the first boss you encounter, which is like the predator scorpion thing. Again, spoilers here, guys. He gets recycled and rebuilt, sort of. You see him getting experimented on at some point, and then I feel like the same enemy comes back, but with different movesets, and I was a bit, again, sort of the same enemy. Yet it's got different moves, yet it looks a bit different because it's been experimented on, but essentially, it was the same boss, and I was a bit like, And then, obviously, from the trailers and everything, Kraid's in it again, which again, we've seen this boss before. It's been in previous games. So, yeah, they were good. They were enjoyable. There was a challenge element there that was rewarding when you accomplished it. You know, you defeat the boss and you're like, oh, yes, did it. Yes. But again, it's sort of like, say, Kraid was like in previous games, and again, he's here. And then the first enemy you face, and this one, again, he comes back, sort of rebooted. And I was a bit like, it's the same dude, and yeah, so boss fights were the only negative I could say. The enemy were good, and all of them were varied, and each one had a different sort of skill that you had to learn when you go in the zone, in order to avoid them completely. And so they were good, but again, the way you took them down became the same. It was just, there's a certain way of destroying them. And once you know what you're doing with them, again, they were a bit, they sort of lost the challenge. The tension sort of disappeared once you knew what you were doing with them, and you were like, oh, kill these guys, I just need to avoid them for a little bit, and that, again, for me, lost some of the tension. When you first faced the enemy, it was really good, but once you'd done like the 7 in total, once you'd done like 3 of them, you were like, these guys are nothing. But yeah, so the bosses, they were the only sort of negative I would pretty much have over the game. Everything else was on form and was excellent. And kudos to Mercury Stream for doing what they've done with it. You know, I mean, they did the Metroid 2 reboot when that came out, and then they've come that now to do like a main entry into it. And you know, I'm really happy with what they've done. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and it's probably one of the best games that I have played this year. Hands down. Yeah, I know I sort of moan about the bosses a little bit, but overall, the entire experience of going through this planet and exploring it and seeing all the things that happen, and it was just excellent. And the story that's been created for this as to why Samus goes to ZDR and how you start the game again with no powers, it was very well done, and it was implemented in a way that you believed. You know, you don't just like, oh, you've landed, you get to start again, you know, especially when you're 5 games in. But it was really well explained, and I thought the story overall was really good and give purpose to Samus's journey, and all the little sort of tidbits that they keep feeding to you every time you get to a new area. It was excellently done, and sort of, again, expanded more on the Metroid franchise, and it would be interesting to see where it would go after the end of this, because the ending of it was really good and how it explained everything, so it's very good. I do highly recommend it. It won't be for everybody, because the bosses can be quite challenging, quite tough. If you're a fan, then yeah, do you know what I mean? Just go for it. This game is excellent. Like I say, probably one of my favourite games that I've played all year. I just couldn't get off it. It was one of them games where it just hooked me. You just get into it of playing, and I just wanted to explore. Graphically, this game is stunning. Okay, what Nintendo can do with their hardware it's insane. I love the fact that Nintendo can just knock out these games with the graphics that they do on a system that is nowhere near as powerful as others. And this game is no different. It looks incredible. The effects in all the different areas are just amazing and look so different and varied, and it was just a wonder to behold. Even the way Samus moves, she's got like new animations and everything, and it just looks so damn cool as you're playing it. When you're pulling off all these moves and taking out all these enemies, it is just incredible. And I think people need to experience it, okay? And I can't recommend it enough. If you do have a Switch, you like an old style 2D platformer, Metroid Dread is one of the best that I've played recently. One of the probably best that's on the Switch, to be honest. It is absolutely incredible game, and I hope that people out there have played it and enjoyed it as much as I did, because I thoroughly did enjoy it. It is a game that I would quite happily go through again. I mean, once you complete it, you do unlock like a hard mode. Whether or not I do that is another thing, but there is a hard mode as well, and yeah, highly recommend it, guys. Amazing game. Metroid Dread on Nintendo Switch. Get on it, guys. Go out there and kick some ass. If you have played it, let me know. I'd love to know what you guys think of it, and if you have enjoyed it, if you completed it or not. If you intend to get it, just let me know down below. I would love to know what your sort of thoughts on the game are as well. If you enjoyed this video, drop me a like. Subscribe to the channel for more Ace content. Please hit that like button. It helps the channel grow so I can give you guys more content. Follow me on Instagram for updates to the channel. And with that, guys, I'll catch you later.